joining us today. Last fall, we gathered with partner organizations and called on Chicago officials to prepare for ward remapping this year that should be done differently. We're happy some members of the City Council have embraced a move toward transparent and independent redistricting, and we ask more of them to do the same. Today, we're announcing that in consultation with neighborhood and good government groups, we're going to create and support a Chicago Advisory Redistricting Commission. Our goal is to create an independent ward remapping commission that will reflect the full and rich diversity of the city. In addition to a few speakers from various neighborhood and community groups you'll hear from shortly, I want to point out that we're joined today by people from several additional organizations that support independent, resident-centered remapping. In particular, we would like to thank our friends and partners at organizations that are endorsing the creation of this commission, including Common Cause Illinois, the League of Women Voters of Chicago, the Latino Policy Forum, the Metropolitan Planning Council, Rainbow Push, United Nations Association Greater Chicago Chapter, NAACP West Side Chapter, the Southwest Collective, Independent Voters of Illinois Independent Precinct Organization, Peace and Education Coalition of Back of the Yards, One Health Englewood, Asian Americans Advancing Justice Chicago, Increase the Peace, the Gun Violence Prevention Education Center, and Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence. Change Illinois will support the creation of a commission and provide those chosen to serve with expert training and mapping help. A committee of independent community members will choose the commissioners from among applicants we hope come from throughout the city. We'll ask the commissioners to host a series of hearings to collect input and advice and community of interest maps from people in every community. Then the commission will go about creating a map we hope will win support in the City Council. By law, if more than one map receives the support of 10 council members, that triggers a special election so Chicago voters can choose their preferred map. We owe our deep thanks to the Chicago Community Trust, the Robert R. McCormick Foundation, Joe Mansueto of Morningstar and the Chicago Fire, and Steve Miller of Origin Ventures, among many others whose financial support have made this effort possible. They understand backroom gerrymandering can no longer be tolerated. So today, we're inviting Chicagoans to rise up and join in this effort to reshape their city in this critical redistricting year. The days of deals over backroom maps are done. We're going to make possible a ward map for Chicago, created by Chicagoans. And now I'd like to call upon our Chicago project manager, Chandra Van Dyke.
Good morning. People deserve to have input into how their communities are drawn. Every community has its own individual needs and factors that should be considered when redrawing wards. This is why we're proud to announce we are going to support a Chicago Advisory Redistricting Commission that will help create a people's map. We sought feedback from community partners regarding how the commission should be picked and how many commissioners there should be. Based on their input and considering how this work has been done in major cities around the country, we're aiming for a commission of 13 community members. A selection committee of independent, prominent community members have volunteered to choose commission members from a pool of applications. We want a commission that reflects the full geographic, ethnic, racial, and economic diversity of the city, so that the commission is given the best opportunity to create a map for Chicago by Chicagoans. It is especially important to ensure the commission includes people from the historically marginalized South and West sides of the city. We aim to support the creation of a commission, give it independent redistricting principles to follow, hire a mapper, and support a hearing process that is done openly and engages communities. Chicagoans from every community are invited to apply to serve on the commission. Applications are available in the 9 most prevalent languages spoken in the city. At the commission's website at chicagoswards.org, Again, applications to serve on the commission are available at chicagoswards.org. Commissioners who see the process through to completion will receive a $5,000 stipend for their service. The deadline to apply to serve and shape Chicago's wards is April 9th, 2021. Given that this is a redistricting year, it is a fundamental time for Chicago residents to show state officials how redistricting can be done in a way that empowers communities and the people who make them what they are. The time is now for a map for Chicago by Chicagoans. Now, I'd like to call on 4 of our community partners to speak briefly about their communities and why they think an independent People's Commission is a better way forward. Andy Kane, Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Chicago.
I'd just like to first thank Change Illinois for leading this effort. And if I may, right now we're facing nationwide 2 competing visions for our country, right? One where we see a slew of states around the country seeking to limit our democracy and exclude people from the process, making it harder for them to engage. We have the opportunity to do the opposite, to forge a different path, to show that we embrace democracy, that we are encouraging communities to be more involved. And we're rejecting Chicago's, past of machine politics, where very cynical considerations are what drives the decisions about the boundaries of our wards, right? And I might add, our city's history using this rigged system of drawing the lines by politicians to oppress communities of color, right, for far too long. So let's take a different route here, one that brings in more people, one that listens to everyone and tries to find unity, but also achieve our common goals and desires as a city. And I would say as the Asian American community is one of the fastest growing groups in the city. Yet, we continue to battle being seen and heard fully. And unfortunately, it takes really deadly incidents in the media for us to get the attention about how white supremacy and other issues have impacted our communities over the years. So we really are excited about this opportunity. We welcome and encourage not just City Council and the mayor to support this effort, but we hope all communities around the city will engage and really fully participate in the process. And once again, just thank you to Change Illinois. And I'm very proud to be here with all the other groups in support of this effort. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Next, we have Monse Ayala, a resident of Gage Park, community organizer with Increase the Peace from Back of the Yards and surrounding neighborhoods.
Thank you, Chandra. Thanks to Change Illinois and all the partners out here today. Like Chandra mentioned, my name is Monse Ayala. I'm an organizer with Increase the Peace on the south side of Chicago. And my organizing career started in Back of the Yards, coordinating local basketball tournaments, organizing cleanups, and canvassing the streets. As I was organizing in the neighborhood, I began to realize how hard it was to just get something done when 5 different aldermen represent one neighborhood. Really let that sink in. That's 5 different people that are supposed to look out for the best interest of one community. And the more I got to know the people in the neighborhood, the more I understood that this was part of the hesitancy to get involved too. The more I heard about their experiences and their stories, the more I understood their frustrations at the fact that they didn't know who represented them. If they wanted to fix a street light, remove graffiti, or get any really city services, there were 5 different people who represented that one community. For any given family, their neighbors from across the street, the church they go to, or the school that their kids might attend, are all represented by a different alderperson, despite the fact that they live blocks away from each other in the same neighborhood. And that created a state of confusion and, in some of the worst cases, apathy between community residents. Our city has been manipulated into jigsaw pieces for the interest of the few and not the many, for the interest of those at power at the expense of everyday people from our neighborhoods, particularly Black and brown folks. That's why we're here today, to demand an end to these backroom deals. Politicians should not choose their voters. The voters should choose who represents them. And that starts with community members who know these neighborhoods best, drawing our own maps instead of politicians. We should be a part of these conversations where we have a say on what our neighborhoods are going to look like for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Monse. Next, we have Kina Collins, Executive Director of the Gun Violence Prevention Education Center and Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence.
Thank you so much, Change Illinois, and all of our coalition partners who are pushing forth for what I say true democracy looks like. And that is to have people have a fair say in how these election maps are essentially drawn. When these election maps are drawn, it should be one person, one vote, and that principle should be put forward. And we have not seen that in the Chicago model. Being a resident of the 28th Ward, 43rd Precinct, practically my whole life in the Austin neighborhood on the west side of Chicago, we have seen in the last 10 years, and especially under COVID-19, the issue of carjackings and gun violence exacerbated. We are not just fighting a global pandemic of COVID-19, we're also fighting a public health epidemic and crisis of gun violence on the west side of Chicago. And I believe that the people in these communities are best fit to see how we should be represented in these maps. Just like many of my colleagues who spoke before me, the 28th Ward or the Austin neighborhood is the largest, geographically largest neighborhood in the city of Chicago and one of the Blackest communities in all of the state of Illinois. And the voter disenfranchisement and displacement of people in these communities has been a result of A, the Chicago machine, and B, the backroom deals that have taken place when the gerrymandering occurs of the redrawing of maps. Not only do we need to reimagine how we look at violence, because it is not just someone pulling a trigger, it is also someone manipulating the process of voters not having the ability to choose their representation properly. And so we are in full support at GPEC ICHB to have this commission put forth, but most importantly, transparency and accountability to the public when it comes to the process of how this works in the city of Chicago. We cannot have a government for and by the people if it is not represented by all of the people. And so thank you. We are so excited to be a part of this coalition and to make sure that this actually gets done.
Thank you, Kina. Next, we have Rodney Johnson, President of One Health Inglewood and a longtime resident of Inglewood.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Change Illinois, for putting this press conference together. And I'm glad to be here with all of my fellow colleagues who actually are together for this movement to actually make a difference in this ward remapping this year, and actually the state as well. So I am a longtime Inglewood resident, and as a resident, I didn't really think about the change that ward redistricting actually affected our community until 2010. We actually had 6 aldermen at the time, similar to, I think, Gage Park, I think Moise was saying. And we have the same issues that Kina and Moise actually in our community as well. But for me, I look at it as a way of disenfranchisement as well, because there's only, out of the 5 wards that are in Inglewood and West Inglewood, there's only 1 ward where the majority of the people actually reside in Inglewood, in West Inglewood, and that's actually the 16th wards. All the other wards are minority parts of other wards. And the issue does affect our community, and it's affecting our community as it is today. And the example that I see in my community is that now in Inglewood and West Inglewood, we're now doing the actual vaccinations in the community, right? And you would think that if you had 1 alderman there, they would actually be able to actually see it through in that ward. We have 5 aldermen, and I have yet to see all 5 come together and say, hey, let's make a difference in our community. We know these people are doing it, and I don't see any leadership there that them coming together. And I think that's one of that's a prime example of how not having a ward alderman that actually, represents the community affects the community. So I'm here to support the efforts of ward remapping. I think one of the issues is actually getting people to know. There's an educational part too. So people need to really know and understand how this affects them. And I end with also, we have a ward, I'm not sure what ward it is, but it's the the northeast part of Inglewood, where it actually connects to downtown. And so that's a congressional district. So I'm trying to say, what those two communities have in common? Not much. Yet and still, where is the actual resources going to go? They're going to go downtown, even though you have areas that need them more. So I'm in full support of this effort.
Thank you, Rodney, and all of our speakers this morning for being with us, and to all of our partners and supporters. You have our deep gratitude. We have an incredible opportunity to change the culture in Chicago by fixing the ward remapping process that serves as the foundation of democracy. We have a wonderful chance to model for all of Illinois how mapping should be done. It's time to end ward gerrymandering that protects incumbents. It's time to give residents the power, and we're calling on them to use their voices to shape their city for the future. We're supporting a process to create a Chicago map that puts the people first. Thank you, and now we're happy to take questions. Again, if you could use your raise hand function, then we will unmute you and go from there. Ryan, we have a question from Deborah.
Yep, Deborah, you can go ahead. Just unmute yourself.
Again, the website is chicagoswards.org for application. If you could share that link, partners, we would be grateful for that as well. Deborah.
Hey, good morning. I'm very excited about this, and as a board member and co-chair of Change Illinois, I've been involved in this effort for a very long time, and very excited about this work at the city level. So if you all could just speak a little bit to some of the challenges that you see ahead, I think that would be very helpful, because I think we've got some hills to climb, which we always do. But I'd really like if you could just lay out some of the things we might be looking at and forecasting, so that we can be prepared, better prepared.
Sure, thanks, Deborah. One of the next big challenge ahead of us is obviously to really boost information and education out there about the fact that we are doing this, so that we generate a giant pool of applications. We really want a great diverse pool of applicants for this commission, so that we can really have a commission that reflects the full and rich diversity of the city of Chicago. We want to represent geographic diversity, racial diversity, ethnic diversity, and economic diversity. And so it's critically important that we spread the word about this, so that we get as many applicants as possible. We have a tremendous volunteer selection committee whose members have agreed to help choose the commissioners. They are Dr. Christina Rivers of DePaul University, Adam Alonso from Build Chicago, Roberto Valdez from Latino Policy Forum, and C.W. Chen, who is an elder statesman and entrepreneur from Chinatown. And they will be advised if they need some help by former alderman and UIC Professor Dick Simpson. So we've got a great committee of respected independent experts to help us choose this commission, or to in fact choose the commission. We're not going to have anything to do with it. We really want this to be an independent process. And so we're going to ask people who apply, to be those who don't have any political connections to aldermen or elected officials of any kind in recent memory. And but other than that, it's open to any Chicago voter age 18 or older. And so we're going to have a tight time frame. That's another challenge we face, Deborah, because as everyone has probably heard by now, the Census Bureau is saying it's not putting data out until possibly the end of September. So rough timeline, we hope to have the commission seated in May and get them trained. We have the help of a mapping expert from the University of Michigan who's testified in several national gerrymandering cases. His name is Joey Chen from the University of Michigan. As I said, it's Jowei, not a common spelling of Joey. And he will be serving as the commission's mapping expert and demographer. The commission needs to hold a series of hearings throughout the summer and gather community input and community of interest maps from every corner of the city. And then they'll need to go ahead in the fall and start drawing a map as quickly as possible, because the statutory deadline is December 1st for maps to be approved by the council.
Our next question is going to be from Aaron.
Hi, yes, it's Erin Haggerty with the Daily Line. So I've got two questions and I'll ask both of them just first. Do you have any support at this point from aldermen? And also, do you have support from the mayor on this, or do you expect the mayor to support this? And also, how is this going to be funded? And do you have any support yet from the city? I know that was something that you had asked for or hinted at, asking for at the end of last year. So just wondering, where the money's coming from.
Thanks, Aaron. Let me see if I can remember all those aldermen. We have talked to a couple of aldermen, and we have seen in media reports that there are a few more who are open to a more independent process. We're grateful for that, and we encourage everyone to give this process a chance. We've seen and heard from or spoken to Alderman Vasquez, Alderman Byron Sitchko Lopez, Alderman Michelle Smith, Alderman Brian Hopkins, hoping that list grows as we go through this process and get it launched. Certainly the mayor and the mayor's office is aware of what we are doing. As I assume most of the aldermen are. We have not been secretive about this, trying to be as transparent as possible. We have not yet gotten funding from the mayor. We have primarily relied on the support of foundations, a couple of them I named, the Chicago Community Trust and the Robert R. McCormick Foundation, as well as a number of individual generous benefactors and donors from the Chicago community. Too numerous to mention, but I highlighted a couple of the big ones: Joe Mansueto of Morningstar and the Chicago Fire, and Steve Miller of Origin Ventures.
All right, next we have Justin Lawrence.
Yeah, can you hear me all right? This is Justin Lawrence from Block Club Chicago.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, so this is for Madeline, and I'm sorry, I missed the first 5 minutes, so I'm sorry if you already said this, but is the ultimate goal here to get 10 aldermen to support this, to get, have an alternative map to what the rest of city council works up? Is that, the ultimate goal here, to have Chicagoans, two choices to choose from in September or whenever the date is?
Well, the ultimate goal would be if there were only one choice and it were the people's map. But of course, yes, that's the idea here, Justin. I think there are there are goals along the way. Just the fact that we are creating this commission and we're going to model for Chicago and Illinois that this can be done and that it should be done openly and transparently and uplifting communities that have been historically marginalized, I think is a goal as well. But yes, if 10 alders support this effort and this map and get it introduced into the council at the end of this process, then by law, that triggers a special election next spring, and that gives the people of the city of Chicago the power to decide which map they prefer. And we believe in the power of the people. Any other questions from anybody? Ryan, I think Al Sharp has one.
Okay.
You're on, hold on, Al, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
All right, thank you. Obviously, we're not, if we do this, and it seems to me a highly worthy effort, there are models around the country that we can point to, I assume. Are there any ones that you would suggest we look at where this has been done and perhaps speak to what's been learned from those models?
Yes, thanks, Al. Sure, there are, we looked at, there are sort of more municipal sanctioned commissions in cities like Austin, Texas, San Diego, California, I think Oakland, California, New York. There are lots of examples around the country where there are independent commissions in place, you know, that have the structure and support of the city government girding them to get this work done. But we're gonna take it on ourselves and do that work and provide that infrastructure and support for a commission of Chicagoans to draw a map for Chicago. So those are some other examples of other communities that have been doing this for some time now.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Again, the website is chicagoswards.org. And certainly thank you all for being with us today, and hope that you will help us spread the word about the website. And the application is a very simple, easy to fill out form on the website. It's in the 9 most prevalent languages spoken in the city of Chicago. So hoping there are no barriers for anybody to have the ability to apply and help shape Chicago's future. Thank you.